Good morning, my loves. Happy Wednesday. Lovely day here at the lake. It is in the high 80s, approaching 90, like 89 today. So it's a really nice day here in Arizona. So this is interesting. We're discussing generational trauma, core wounds. This is interesting. Do you realize that how your parents spoke to you, now this is from the time you're born to today, if your parents are still alive, that becomes your inner voice. How you speak to your children becomes their inner voice. That tape that plays in our head all the time, those criticisms. Why are you wearing that? What in the world were you thinking putting that on? You know you'll never pass that test. You know you're never going to be good enough. Why go to college? You'll never make it. All of that negativity plays over and over and over. Now, in some families, instead of negative comments, it's, I'm so proud of you. You can do anything you put your mind to. That's fine. You didn't get an A this time, you'll get it next time. The words of encouragement, regardless. The way you speak to your child, that's their inner voice. And that plays and stays your entire life. Think about it. Think about it for a minute. Think about the things that your parents said to you when you were growing up. Go as far back as you can remember to how they started speaking to you. Was it positive? Was it negative? When you started school, positive or negative? As you went through school, sports, academics, positive or negative? How do you see yourself now? Positive or negative? Do you trust your decision-making skills? Do you second-guess everything? Do you feel you're never going to measure up? Why apply for that position? I'll never make it. Why go to college? I know I'll never get in. Why would I go out with them? They're only going to dump me. Ring some bells? Yeah. So, those inner voices are what our parents tell us, right? And our parents is what their parents told them. Generational trauma. Yeah. Ask your parents, if they're still living, how their parents spoke to them. Maybe you know. Maybe you see it firsthand. Maybe their parent is still ugly toward them, just vicious and hateful, cursing at them, calling them out of their name. They, in turn, do the same thing to you. Generational trauma. Repeating toxic behaviors that become learned behaviors that you pass on to the next generation. Generational trauma. Yeah. That hits so deep if you think about it. Because things that were said to you when you were 5 years old, you remember today. I know I do. I had a conversation with a client this morning, and we were talking about similar things. I'd already decided this was my topic. I decided this last night. And so a client needed to talk to me today, which is great. I love that. We had this lovely long conversation. And I said, one thing that I will never forget. Now, this started when I was in 7th grade. And in my family growing up, you drank coffee early. I mean, 3, 4 years old, you're drinking coffee, but it was mainly milk and sugar. In my family, that's just the way life was, good, bad, or indifferent. So, in 7th grade, my mom every morning would wake me with my cup of coffee. That was real coffee. And my dad left for work long before I ever got up to go to school. And I would make it into the kitchen, and there at my place was a piece of toast with jam. Every morning. From 7th grade till I left for college. Absolutely every day. That was my dad's way of saying, I love you, have a nice day. I thought of you this morning. That was so sweet. And here I am, almost 67 years old, and I remember that. I remember it so clearly. That, now, you have triggers, which are the core wounds, but you have glimmers. That's the good things. That's definitely a glimmer. Absolutely. But it's things like that that stick with you. I can't remember my dad really saying negative things to me. He was head of research and development for Boeing, but he was pretty old school, and he thought, I wanted to be a nurse. Well, he kind of thought, nah, you just need to be a housewife and have babies. Well, that's, but thanks for that offer. We'll pass. But it was him, And he didn't necessarily discourage me, but it was always, well, now, Bryn, don't you think? Yeah, now, Dad, no. But he was nice about it. But he never really cut me down. He was never overly critical. So, he insinuated some things, but he was never, he would comment about how I dressed, as all dads would. Well, my Lord, why are you, what are you thinking wearing something that short, or, being a dad? And that's fine. But my mom, on the other hand, manipulative, vicious, oh my word. Yeah, she could cut you down to size in 2 sentences. And that started when you were an infant. And it didn't end until she died. Yeah, I remember all of that. Now, with my son, I did not treat him that way. I was more like Dad. Very encouraging and nurturing, lifting him up. You can do anything. He had his moments, trust me. But yeah, I broke the cycles. In other families, there's violence. Now, in some families, you have a toddler and you give them a swat on the fanny. Okay, in some families. Some families do, some families don't. I never, ever had to raise my hand to my son because I had the mom look down. I didn't need to. Honey, I can give you a look and just freeze you in your tracks. It worked. I never had to spank my child. Thank goodness. To the best of my knowledge, he has never had to spank my granddaughter. To the best of my knowledge. He may have. I don't know. I'm not going to ask. But in all likelihood, he, one of them, my son or my granddaughter, probably gave her a swat on the tushy at some point when she was little. But she's a good kid. But the point is, all of that goes into the tape. The negative self-talk that we hear all the time. It's always there. Every day. You get up, you go in, you brush your teeth, get ready for the day, and it starts. That on switch. You're going to wear that? Your hair's supposed to look like that? Seriously? Can't you cover up that blemish? I know I have a blemish. You're really going to do that? You're really going to order that? You're not going to eat that, are you? Seriously? With your weight, you're going to eat that? No, I don't think so. You're going to drink that? You know you're going to be late for work. You know they're going to fire you. Just on and on and on and on and on. All of that negativity just pours in all day, every day, until you realize your self-worth and you say, stop. Stop. I am worthy of greatness. I am worthy of respect. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I'm not capable of. And you delete, I can't talk, you delete, erase that negative self-talk tape. You can do that. Absolutely. You heal the core wounds. Absolutely. When you realize they're just sharing their core wounds on you. Now this is a little gross way to say it, but they're vomiting their traumas into your life. They come home with having a bad day and they take it out on you, screaming and yelling at you, saying bad things. They just vomited their bad day into your brain. You're the one paying for that. They may feel a lot better now. They got it out of their system. Well, thank you, because you're going to be carrying those words and that hurt for the next 30 or 40 years until you realize that's what they did. It's not about you. So many times, the core wounds that we carry, they're not even about us. Somebody's angry at somebody else and takes it out on us. They're jealous of you and your capabilities, your potential, because they never had these chances. They never had your looks. They never had your brains. And by God, they're resentful and they're going to take it out on you. That's a them thing, not a you thing. You need to realize that. So when core wounds pop up. Stop. Okay, where can I find this? Where? Because it's in the files, it's in the archives. Where does this come from? What does it mean? Find out. Identify it. Was it even a you thing? Did it have anything at all to do with you? I remember my mom being very upset with someone. One day she was on the phone. She slammed the phone down. I was probably 3, 4 years old. She slammed the phone down. She had a cigarette and her coffee, and she slammed the phone down, and she looked at me and started calling me horrible names to call anybody, let alone a child, saying, you're going to grow up and be just like, horrible things. And I remember that. And that played in my head for years until I realized it had nothing to do with me. She was throwing a tantrum at somebody else. I was available. I was a target. She could take it out on me. Has nothing to do with me. Not my problem. Not my issue. Delete. Erase. Erase. When somebody's telling you you're lesser than somebody else, you're not going to measure up to somebody else, you're never going to make it. Why are they saying that? It's because they didn't make it? Are they jealous of you? Are they angry at this other person and they're just taking it out on you? Do you have the mannerisms or the looks of this other person and they're so jealous, resentful, pissed off at this other person? They can't say it to the other person. They're not here, but they can say it to you. They may or may not realize what the weight of what they're saying to you. They may or may not care. You care. But I want you to stop and I want you to think the next time you're triggered, the next time those tapes start to play of your self-worth, is it even about you? Or were they just vomiting on you? Vomiting their insecurities, their anger, their rage, their past traumas on you? Something to think about. And if that's the case, hit erase. Erase that tape. It's not even a you thing. It's not even about you. Let it go. Just something to think about, especially when dealing with your own kids. Because what you say becomes their tape. Think about that long and hard.